inside the off stump. Oh, he's caught it! I don't believe it! Tom Kohler-Cadmore has caught the most magnificent catch. At short third man, it's the end of Daniel Sams, and Somerset have won the Vitality Blast 2023. They've bowled Essex out for 131.
Right Side of Life, the Somerset Cricket Podcast. My name's Ian Shepherd, and joining me this evening, I've got exiled Somerset fan Steve Tancock. Steve, how grim is it up north this week?
Pretty grim, mate. Last week I was boasting how lovely it was. I guess most of you seen the weather in Liverpool yesterday on the news, sadly, and it's no better today, I'm afraid.
Good stuff. Did you manage to keep up to date with the other good goings on up north?
Very happily, yes, thank you. I was channeling Dan's emotions, I think, as he was there. Obviously, Gibbo was trying to keep my excitement under check with his realism stroke pessimism, as everyone was debating Gibbo on Sunday morning. But yeah, it was for me, it was just wonderful and brilliant, and probably the best moment of the season so far.
Yeah, cannot disagree with that. Also with us tonight is the man who's seen every professional super over in the history of cricket in the UK, Dan Kingdom. Dan, how are you doing this evening?
I'm good, thank you. Yep, still reveling in an excellent win up at Chester Street.
Good. And did you manage to count the number of stewards dotted around the Banks Home Riverside ground over the weekend?
I didn't, but funnily enough, we did remark on the lack of them. I didn't specifically count them, but yeah, like the person who asked the question, I noticed that there were not many stewards at all, despite being quite a big ground. So.
Yeah, well, food for thought then. And finally, we have the voice of cricket on BBC Radio Somerset, Anthony Gibson. Gibbo, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine, thanks, Ships.
Good. Well-earned day off for you after your longest away trip of the season. Now, we all expected an early finish after conceding that first innings lead of 105, but not necessarily for Somerset to overcome the odds and record their first county championship win at Chester Street since, I believe, 1997.
Yeah, it was one against the head, as you say in rugby parlance. The pitch changed character. It did a bit like Taunton. It did less and less as the game went on. It was a very inexperienced Durham attack, and Gregory and Davey and Namanby and Rue and Tom Abel all batted really very sensibly and very well, and against it was an against the odds win. Especially given our record at Chester Street. I was, in all honesty, I was never very confident until about the last half an hour.
Yeah.
Then Tom Naman managed to get himself dropped down on the deep square leg boundary.
I think he was playing the percentages with the swirling hoolie of a gale that was going on up there in Durham. You could just afford to stick it up in the air, knowing that wherever the fielder stood, it would just blow 2 or 3 yards either way, and it's more than likely you would be fine. I mean, let's start. Well, I mean, as you said, yeah, a really inexperienced bowling attack there for Durham. Apart from Ben Rain, who's got 100. Well, after that game, had 141 championship appearances. Young Mitchell, is it Mitchell Killeen?
Yeah, Mitchell Killeen.
Son of Erstwhile Neil. That was his championship debut. He bowled well, picked up 5 for 36. Cody Youssef, who was concussion subbed out 33 games. And then Hogg and Minto with 6 apiece. And Colin Ackerman's occasional spin has been seen had the opportunity to be seen in 184 first-class games. So how do you account them skittling us for 172 and a lead of conceding 105 first innings lead first time around? Put your teeth in, Shepherd.
We didn't bat very well.
Do you think they looked a bit timid?
And the pitch was difficult. But no, I mean the first day wasn't great in any respect. I mean, we dropped quite a few catches in the Durham first, let them get more than they should have on that pitch, and then it was everyone on social media on the Saturday morning was saying same old, And it is a concern because our first innings batting performances mean that we've only scored 6 batting points in the entire season. So even though we've got 3 wins,
5 of those were in the first game.
In the first game, and we've had 1 since then.
So that's what, 6 games? 6 games and 1 batting point?
Hang on. Just slight correction. It's 8 batting points. So it's 5 in the first game.
Oh, well, everything's all right. We've got 8.
But yeah, no, I'm just saying for the record.
Basically, Tom Banton's got half of our batting points.
Yeah, that's half of our batting points right there.
All right. Yeah, well, 8 fine. But we've won 3 games, and yet we've only got 92 points. And somebody asked on Twitter, are we going to win the county championship? Well, not unless we start getting first innings runs. We're not going to win the county championship. Almost no matter how many games we win. If we win 5 games out of the remaining 7, we ain't going to win the championship unless we get good batting points from all 7 games.
Because I'm just circling back now. I know to my point a couple of weeks ago about we were absolutely terrible in the first innings, didn't get any bonus points, but we were equally as brilliant in the second innings.
Yeah.
And we don't get a bonus point for that. So the bonus, it just seems to me to be complete. They're just completely arbitrary. They do not take into account anything to do with the pitch, the bowling, anything like that. I say just get rid of them and find another way of separating the teams.
No, sorry, totally disagree. 2 reasons. 1, I'm an old fart, and it's the way it's always been. And 2, to win championship games, you should get big runs in the first innings and bowl the opposition out. I'm much more, Anthony. I was so tempted to pile in and comment on Twitter on the weekend when you were saying about draws, because I completely agree with you. And I know it wouldn't necessarily make, Dan's probably done it, but you change the maths and change the number of points for a draw. But it's also about the way teams approach the game and play the game. And there have been too many really boring draws in the championship this season, not involving us, I hasten to add, but some games there where 570 plays 558 for 4 declared or something is not my idea. But I can hear Somerset members turning in their graves, and other Somerset members and other championship fans saying no. So I'm gonna. Not very often I disagree with you, Shep, but I absolutely disagree with you on that one.
I think there needs to be a way, obviously, to separate sides, and bonus points seems to be the best way at the minute. But I just don't like the arbitrary way that they're doled out. I mean, how many times a side's getting 3 bonus points for taking 9 wickets in the first 110 overs? 85%. So is that a bonus for doing something that everybody does 85% of the time? I don't think so. Maybe you should get your bowling points in 60 overs. You've got 60 overs to get your bowling points and 110 overs to get your batting points. There you go. That's food for thought. Anyway, we could talk hours and hours about bonus points, so we're not going to tonight. Shall we talk about that first innings debacle then? Because I thought there was a lot of sort of timid little kind of half sort of pushes that meant we weren't quite getting that full stride in, the full that range of movement that you need when you're playing really well and you're really confident. You get the full stride out, the backswing's good, you're there, you're clean and crisp. To me, it just looked a little bit nervous and a little bit nudgy, and a little bit 172 all outy to Mitchell Collini, 5 for 30-60.
But it was one of those, we have this often, don't we, where it's just this unexplainable collapse happens, and that's probably where the timidity comes from, the nerves, and almost not. They really don't want to collapse, so they're almost too careful, and then that causes the collapse. I mean, thank God for Pretorius and Henry, whose partnership may well have, won us the game ultimately. Without that partnership, who knows what happens. So, yeah, it's happened a few times this year and in recent years, hasn't it? The second innings at the Oval as well, where they just fell in a heap. And it was reminiscent of last year, of course, at Chester Street, when we also did the same thing. So it was worrying after that first innings. The fact that we then somehow ended up with a 7-wicket win is astonishing. But yeah, it just shows there's still work to be done for the team going forwards. We've had 3 wins on the bounce, which is great. But they're all to some extent sort of flawed wins. So there are obviously things to work on. And funnily enough, the opening partnership again in this game wasn't too bad. It's sort of the middle order.
What disaster?
It's sorry.
13 and 35, I think.
Well, that's unheard of these days. Well, pre the Sussex game.
And it's not just the actual partnerships themselves, but also, Davey hung around for a while in the first innings.
Yep.
Did in the second innings. So I think there has been a bit of progress with this partnership, which is good to see. They just haven't they haven't both scored runs together yet, but they have hung around. Davey wasn't really the problem in the first innings. It was the second morning. It was the next morning, wasn't it? Really.
But they're not exactly Burns and Sibley, are they?
No, but
we need a proper opening partnership. We're never going to win anything in red ball cricket without a proper opening partnership. We haven't had a decent one since Triscothic and Sapphire. And I don't know what the answer is, but it's certainly not working at the moment. And it's not doing us any favours because it means Lammonby's coming in, really early on, and until this last innings, he's getting in and then getting out with a silly shot too often. Brain farts, as a well placed Somerset backroom person calls them. And we're just getting off on the wrong foot, particularly in the first innings, game after game after game. And Davey and Gregory, it's a stopgap. It's okay. It plugged the gap for the time being, but we need a permanent solution to.
I mean, realistically, then, how long could you see the Davey-Gregory partnership continuing for? To the end of the season, you'd think?
Well, I hope not, because I hope they've come up with something a bit better. I mean, that's not to disparage Josh Davey and Lewis Gregory, who've done a great job. But, they are not, by nature, opening batsmen against good attacks on a pitch that's doing a bit against the red ball. It's going to get the opposition off to a good start rather than us.
Well, I mean, it's worked so far. 2 Davey Gregory opening partnerships, 2 wins. Oh, Gibbo's had enough. He's gone. Oh, he's back. I mean, for my money, I think is Andy Umeed suddenly going to stick his hand up and get the gig? Do they think Archie Vaughan is now mentally ready to do it, or do they think he needs another winter? Maybe I don't know. A season in Australia, getting toughened up in grade cricket. Can you imagine that? Yeah, the Ashes winning England captain's son getting terrorised in grade cricket. That would put air on your chin, wouldn't it? So maybe something like that. I don't know.
I think we should take it game by game for now, and it's going to also partly be dependent on the makeup of the bowling attack, which is obviously a weird thing to say, but when Gregory is fit to bowl again, does Davey get into the team? Because once Gregory's fit to bowl, we don't need 5 senior bowlers, which is what we're currently picking. So I think we'll just reassess the situation when the next championship game comes around. I think there's a good chance Umeed or Vaughan will return to opening at some point, maybe with just one of Gregory and Davey. And I assume we see Vaughan as a long-term opener, as you mentioned. He just needs a bit of time just to get a bit of confidence in the middle order. I think it could be that they are potentially going to go with Vaughan and an overseas opener next year, perhaps. Wouldn't surprise if that's what their current thinking is. With Umeed and Dixon are both out of contract as well. I think no guarantees that they stay. So I'd say that's probably the likely line of thought.
I think as well with Vaughan, if he's going to be opening it, he needs to be doing it with an established opener, rather than somebody like Dixon, who is, no disrespect, but he was still had it all to prove opening the batting for Somerset.
Yeah, by established opener, you mean someone who's inked in to open the batting week in, week out. The perfect world would be that Archie Vaughan had 2 seasons opening with Trez, say. That's where. But I think my head is, and I absolutely echo what you say. I've got tons of admiration for Josh and Lewis, because they've clearly either put their hands up or been asked and said yes, we'll do it. But and again, I'm sounding like a politician here because I'm hedging all over the place. I know we lose something by Lewis not being there to bat with the lower order, but I wouldn't be averse to a longer term run of Gregory and Vaughan trying to open the batting. I really want to see Archie Vaughan open the batting, and I know it's putting pressure on him, and I hear everything you say, but if he's going to open the batting long term for Somerset, he needs to open the batting soon. Yeah. And in, we are. Anthony says batting bonus points is a big thing that we've got to get, but at the moment, I think the best option would be to say to Lewis, you're clearly not going to be fit to bowl, but we want you in the side. I'm going to be on pins if Lewis is bowling in the Championship in June or later in the season, because I'm worried then he won't be fit to play at all. So if the compromise is he's going to skip for the side note and the batting, I'll take that at the moment rather than not have him in the side at all.
I would too. I definitely would as well. I mean, you could, even if he is bowling, you could still have him opening the batting. Because I mean, you could. Then,
you could.
You could play five absolute gun seamers then. I mean, Henry, Davey, Pretorius, Overton, and Gregory. What an attack that is!
Yeah.
And what an attack that was second time around, Dan. I was chatting to people after that we bowled about for 172, and I said that's probably enough. We bowled about for 160, 170, chase 280, whatever. We're still in the game, and it came to pass. I mean, we spoke. Yes, I spoke last week about that session against Sussex, where I thought, that was one of the best collective sessions I've seen. Well, I think that knocked it into a cocked hat for me. Durham 149 all that. Henry 3 for 51. Davey 2 for 27. The journeyman Miguel Pretorius 3 for 46, and Craig Overton 2 for 33. But it was expensive-ish apart from Davey. But I mean, blimey, it's.
Can we talk about Pretorius, because it's this sort of you say the journeyman, and this narrative is starting to build up, but Dan said earlier, if it hadn't been for him and Henry at the bottom of the first innings,
you're not at it from me.
And he's contributed with the ball again.
His internet working.
Yeah, okay, but I think it needs to be said that he is perhaps been a bit overlooked because he's making vital contributions nearly every game at the moment.
Well,
and I'll take it. I'll take it at the moment.
You had the vote for Championship Player of the Year now. He's certainly on the podium.
Yeah, definitely.
He is our leading wicket taker in the Championship this year. He has the best bowling average for us, and he's averaging 30 with the bat with a couple of 50s. So which
means presumably being rotated anytime soon.
Well, he's the one player he's never been rested while he's been with us. He's played every possible Championship game that he could have across last season and this season. So. Yeah, he's just an extremely reliable player who, this season particularly, is picking up key wickets every game and scoring useful runs. And he was a key part in us winning this game with bat and ball.
You're back, Gibber. We were just talking about your favourite journeyman. Have you?
Well, he's done very well.
Assessment.
Well, he's a very, very good county cricketer. He's not a test player, but he's a very, very good county cricketer. He's done a great job with bat and ball, and I think he's a pretty good influence in the dressing room as well.
I was just saying to Dan and Steve, if we held the vote for Championship Player of the first half of the season, I think Pretorius is definitely on the podium, if not holding the gold medal.
Yeah, he's been really good.
Good stuff. So then, Somerset were set. What looked on paper to be a tricky 265 to win. And as is the custom now, we just seem to be breezing through these fourth innings run chases like they're nobody's business. Sussex was, fairly pain-free. I've lost Gibbo again. Essex on that fourth morning was pretty much went according to plan. It was the 5 for 70 or 90 odd we lost the previous evening that put the spanner in the works there. And yeah, 1 for 35 when we lost Josh Davies, 70 lost Lewis Gregory at 73, lost James Rue on 128, but Tom Abel and Tom Lammonby were able just to bat serenely and calmly and put the game to bed. I was particularly impressed with Abel, who's not been in the best of form. He really gritted it out for a good hour.
Yeah, that first hour of half and half
Yeah.
was tough for him, wasn't it?
It really was.
It was tough for me watching him because you know how much I love Tom Abel and was willing with every sinew and fibre of my body for him to get us through. And that first hour and a half, oh my goodness, I think I aged another 10 years then.
Well, 73 off 133 balls. By normal standard, that's sort of fairly fluent and, nothing much. You wouldn't think he's in any trouble. But, yeah, like you say, that first sort of hour, Dan, he really knew that. He almost knew that I'm the big wicket here. If I just stay in, we'll win this game. Because they had 2 days to get the runs.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I mean, the way we batted, we were so utterly composed. Hardly any sort of aggressive shots. We just took care, and we knew that Durham had a young bowling attack. Also, Cody Youssef obviously was concussed and Daniel Hogg got subbed in, and he was clearly rusty. And Minto didn't bowl brilliantly either, so we absorbed pressure quite well against Rain and Killeen, who were their 2 best bowlers in the match, and sort of attacked a little bit more against, we hit the bad balls to the boundary against Minto and Hogg. And yeah, apart from Lammonby being dropped, I don't really remember any sort of major alarms in the chase. It was just very careful, and we sort of put the aggressive shots away and got there with relative ease in the end. The last morning was great. Obviously, there were periods where we had to absorb pressure, but it was just a very mature performance from us, and it's a change compared to some of our previous innings at Chester Street.
It's good that we now kind of built up this portfolio of big chases, starting with Warwickshire, 400 on that last day at Taunton last year, and then these 3 run chases. Essex, we were in the proverbial, and we got massively dug out of it by Rue and Overton. Here it was okay. We're in a little bit of trouble, but Lammonby and Abel have done it. So kind of gradually, all the batters are sort of ticking off, having played their part in a big run chase. Gregory with 80 odd against Sussex last week. So there's a collective batting unit. They're now all sat together, going, well, in a kind of a Bazbally type way, we can chase anything. And it doesn't. We don't ideally not want to lose early wickets, but if we do lose early wickets, we're going to be okay, and they can still go out with that confidence of doing so. Gibbo.
Sorry, Shep, can I just say, I thought when James Rue was out, and that was about 12-ish, I think, it was about an hour before lunch, I think.
Yeah, sounds right.
My head was that it was just at the time where I thought, okay, if these 2 can bat another half an hour, we're really on top of the game. And then he got out. And then at lunchtime, I was thinking, okay, they've got to lunch. But there was a little devil on my shoulder who was going, if one of these 2 gets out and we're into Umeed and Vaughan, this could get awkward. And then I know pressure, and they talk about, pressure isn't about batting to win a game of cricket or something. I suspect the 2 of them at lunchtime were very aware of that, and it was on them. And for that, I think they deserve even more credit, because as Dan said, and watching remotely, it just seemed like they weren't really fazed by anything, and they just let the game come to them, let the bowlers come to them, saw off the bowlers who were more threatening. It was heartwarming beyond belief to see it, and it was a really, in the best definition of a professional performance by the 2 of them.
Yeah, Tom Abel had to work really, really hard early on in his innings. He didn't look at all confident. And he hasn't looked, it's been a in and out sort of season for Tom Abel. But through that innings, he gradually grew in confidence. And towards the end of it, it was the Tom Abel that we know and love. But at the start of that innings, he was having to play, defensive shot after defensive shot after defensive shot against the likes of Ben Rain and Colin Ackerman from the other end. But I agree with Steve. That was exactly what I was thinking. Oh God, if one of these gets out, then you've got Umeed, and not that I don't lack faith in Umeed and Vaughan, but given our history of batting collapses, you can never be too confident that it's all going to be okay. But I was really encouraged by the way Tom Lammerby batted. It was so sensible and measured and absolutely right for the situation. And he only had one brain fade, which was the top edged hook where he was dropped at deep backward square leg. And Tom Abel, as I say, looking like the Tom Abel that we know and love towards the end of that innings. And yeah, it was a great performance, and it was a great performance as well for it being at Chester Street, where we had such a dreadful record in recent years. And it's one of the best days I suspect that we will have all season.
Gibbo, do you remember the word that Lammers used when he was talking to you on interview on Sunday evening about what he wanted to be? He said, I've been talking to Shane Berger and I want to be more...
consistent?
No, ruthless.
Ruthless, yeah.
We want to see the ruthlessness in Tom Lammerby, which is something we've been crying out for, because you just kind of feel that's the one aspect missing from his game. He's got all the shots under the sun. He's a 360 player, especially in white ball cricket, but he just needs, when everything's in your favour, when you get to 30, when you get to 40 and you're in, that's when you've got to make it count. That's where you've got to put your foot on the opposition's throat, metaphorically speaking, and not take it off until you're on 200. There's so many things that are out of your control in the game. You could get a ball that misbehaves, you could get a shocking decision. So when you're in on a good deck and it's your chance to win the game, you've got to grab it by the scruff of the neck and take it, not leave it to the other bloke.
I think that was his 8th century in first-class cricket, and his highest score is only 116.
Yeah, that's got to be some sort of record, I think.
Yeah.
Need those daddy hundreds, Lammers. Need those daddy hundreds.
They are gorgeous hundreds when he makes them, though, aren't they? I can't think of all those of a bad Tom Lammer. I know it sounds stupid to say a bad 100, but we all know and have seen many times hundreds which are like, how on earth, or the aforementioned Mr. Sibley is probably somebody who doesn't get a nice 100 very often.
No.
But Lammerby, he's damned with faint praise, or damned with too much praise rather, but there's almost a Gower-esque beauty to when he gets runs, because it is gorgeous to watch.
Yeah, well, I've always cast my mind back to the Oval last year. Oh, he was just sublime that day. He was just playing it so late, he could have just put it anywhere. And yes, Gibbo, up until he ran out Matt Renshaw.
I know what, and then he ran out Matt Renshaw, and then he got 100 and was out next ball.
Well, if you bat like that and get 100 as beautiful as that, you can run out whoever you like, as far as I'm concerned. It was absolutely... I was watching it on the stream, and I just had to say, no, I can't flick between the two here. I've just got to give this my full attention, and it was a beautiful knock. So, if you can combine that with a will to bat for 2, 3, 4 sessions, then yeah, I think we can see some substantial progress on Lammers, and I'd love to see him. I'd say that 116 with 800s as your top score is. He's got to look at that and go, I should have gone on in at least 4 of those, you'd think.
And one more thing about those hundreds. Lammerby's never scored more than 1 century in a championship season. Obviously, he scored 3 in the Bob Willis Trophy year, but since then, he scored 1 century per year, 2021 to 2022.
I knew there was a killer stat coming. I could just see it, Dan. Yeah.
2021 was Lancashire, wasn't it? That was when we got bowled out for about 50 in the morning, and then we batted really well in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And Lammer's got 100. He hit Parkinson in the river to bring up his 6, bring it up with a 6.
And then got out.
And then got out pretty much soon after. Then, so 2022, what was Lammer's 100 in 2022?
Northants at Taunton, I think. Because he had basically what he always used to do, he always got 100 in the penultimate game of the season. And that was Northants.
Yeah, Abel got 100 that game as well, didn't he, Northants?
Yeah. And then 2023 was against Kent at Taunton, which is also the penultimate game.
And 2024 was... the Oval. So there we go.
So the challenge now is to score a few more this season. Hopefully.
Yeah, we can get 2. Well,
he's nailed on to get one in the penultimate game this year, so that's 2 sorted before we worry about any more.
Obviously, got to get 2 down at Chelmsford in the end of September to win us a championship. So And it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. We need to score big hundreds to get these batting bonus points, which are going to lift us up the championship table. Because as John Hayes said in a question, are we going to win the county championship? Well, we look a lot more likely than we did 3 weeks ago.
Yep.
Just wrap up then with the table. Notts top on 115. Surrey second, they drew with Essex on 105. And then you've got Sussex on 95, Warwickshire on 93, and Somerset on 92, sorry. That completes your top five. So it's very, very congested in that top five. What are we there? 23 points between fifth and first. So it's anyone's to play for, with us still to play Notts twice. So
yeah,
watch this space. Good then. Anything more on Durham before we move on? Oh, Thomas Roof, got to say that. He came on. James had to go off to hospital for a scan on his finger. Was wearing his brother's shirt. Was wearing his brother's first 11 cap as well, which I wasn't particularly happy with.
no,
Because you're not supposed to wear one of those until you've got made your professional debut, Thomas. So don't go rooting around in your old brother's kit bag and pinching everything, because you should have been wearing a baseball cap. That's you told off before Chris and Debbie get a letter from school asking where you were last week when you should have been in lessons. Anyway, moving on then. Right, so that parks the first half of the championship season is already done and dusted. It seems bonkers, doesn't it? But that's the world we're living in at the moment. 2 months of the season gone, and we start our attempt to regain the trophy that is rightfully ours, which has been
currently on loan somewhere at the M5.
Some sort of festering, stinky, horrible trophy room, probably rats crawling all round it, and lawn covered in filth and detritus. So we need to get it back, give it a good polish, and put it back in its rightful place at the Cooper Associates County Ground. And the best place to start doing that is against Surrey on Friday night in a double header, with Somerset women playing their Surrey counterparts in the afternoon. I'm really looking forward to this. I think Henry, Meredith and Overton is probably going to be the best seam attack in the Blast, allied with Green and Gregory as your all-rounders. The only place I think we're lacking is a solid, well, I say solid, is a well,
definition, yeah.
Whoever we play is going to have to come in pretty much brand new and fresh to the side as our spin option, our regular first choice spin option in T20 since the retirement of Roloff van der Merwe. So I've got 10 in my side. I've got Smead, Lammonby, TKC, possibly with the gloves, depending on who we go for with our wildcard pick. Abel, Gregory, Green, Overton, Henry, Meredith, and then Goldsworthy is nailed on as a spin bowling all-rounder, floating somewhere between 7 and 9.
Could not agree more. With players missing for the first few games, Goldsworthy has to play. I'll not be a happy boy if
No.
Well, you could play Josh Thomas instead of him.
The Goldsworthy did really well for Leicestershire in the last year. Surely.
Yeah. Now you forget he was, it wasn't a nice little trajectory with us as a spin bowler. I mean, if you cast it, I think it was 2020, well, it's 2021 or 2022. He bowled maybe like 4 overs, 2 for 20 at finals day.
Yeah.
It might have been a bit of a spin-friendly deck up there. They normally are pretty sluggish on finals day, but I think he's got it, and he bowled very well for Leicester while he was on loan in the Blast last year. So I think if we're keeping him on, it's pretty self-evident now that it isn't as a top 6 championship batter to bowl in the championship a bit as well. So if they don't pick him in the Blast, why did we sign into a new contract last October? So for me, just looking at that logic, he's got to play. He'd be in my team, sure, certainly. So where do we go with this? I mean, are we all agreed on that 10 as kind of being our first choice, and then we need to fill that last spot, which is currently at 5?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure I'd have Lammonby open. I mean, it depends on the exact team you go with, because if Umeed is the 11th player. He might open with Smeed and then TKC at 3, or it might be Smeed and TKC open with Lammonby in mid-order. But yeah, I mean,
I'd like to see
when Lammonby did
TKC
open
open.
one game.
Yeah, I would let TKC open.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he's certainly going to keep wicket. Jason told me he was.
Yeah, he said all signs are pointing in that direction. But you know how they like to surprise us, Gibbo.
Jack Leach might keep then Friday night. Just throw another. We've had Josh Davey and Lewis Oakler batting, you know.
Yeah, I tell you, that will surprise them Surrey boys, won't it? Old Tom Curran will be coming out. It'll be like, what are you doing behind the stumps now? All up there, see? All up there. Well, for me then, the options for that fifth batter are Umeed, Rue or Vaughan. Or Josh Thomas.
Or Casey Aldridge.
Is that 5? I think we're a
No,
bowler.
not at 5. You just. I mean, Gregory isn't going to bowl, is he?
Oh, okay. Well, if Gregory doesn't bowl, that leaves you with Goldsworthy, Meredith, Henry, Overton, Green, and Lammonby. I mean, it all depends on whether Gregory bowls.
Well, he showed no signs of it at Chester Street.
But he might be okay to bowl 4 overs in T20 matches, perhaps.
He might.
Yeah, I mean, remember he didn't bowl against Surrey in the Championship last September, and then knocked them over 2 wickets in an over, got us right back in that game on finals day.
I think he might bowl. I don't think he'll bowl 4 overs every game. I can see him bowling a couple of odd overs as he feels he needs to, skippering the side. But I don't think we're going to sit here in a couple of weeks' time, 5 blast games down, and say he's bowled 20 overs or anywhere near it.
No. 20 overs in 3 spells in a Championship game is a world apart from 4 overs in a T20. 4 overs maximum in a T20. Yeah. So I think you're right there, Steve. So if we work on the principle that Gregory is fit to bowl.
Yeah, if we pick another batter, I think, and it's Emid or Thomas or maybe Thomas Rue. I think Thomas Rue is probably unlikely at the moment.
I think. I would probably go Josh Thomas in the middle order, to be honest. That'd be my. I just feel that's a gut feel right thing to do.
Yeah, I could go along with that.
I think it's the progressive thing to do.
I'd like to see Umeed given a chance.
Okay.
He hits the ball very, very hard.
Yeah,
and his record in white ball cricket, all right, 50.
Yeah, they may do that, given they might go on his Metro Bank form, and do that. I mean, although he's more, you can say this because it's difficult to kind of gauge what he would be as a T20 player because none of us have seen him really play a T20. He probably played in those Mickey Mouse games in Abu Dhabi pre-season. But I don't think he's played.
Well, he played in the 2020 in the final of the One Day Cup last September.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, technically that was a T20. So
he's never played a professional T20 in his life. I'm just looking to see how he did in the second 11 T20 last year. Obviously, he won.
I mean, then you go Vaughan. You could have Vaughan as another bowling option. Would you say Vaughan as a spin bowling option? Is ahead of Josh Thomas as a spin bowling option?
No,
I probably wouldn't. I'm certainly not in white ball cricket.
He may want an off spinner though, because if you remember last year at home to Surrey.
Well, I'll tell you what, a name we haven't mentioned, which I do feel a little bit silly now, is Bashir. Obviously, coming off the back of a great performance up at Trent Bridge, seems to be the forgotten man at Taunton. I don't think he's going to. Well, no, England don't play a Test match till the 20th of June now, so I presume he's available as well. So we could put Bashir in. He has played T20 cricket for us before.
He's good enough for England, but is he good enough for Somerset?
No, is he good enough for Somerset? I mean, that's a curious case that we could kind of go on long. But I mean, yeah, you could put Bashir in at 11. We're going to move everybody up, and then Gregory bats 5. Yeah, so you've got Gregory at 5, Green at 6, Overton at 7, Henry 8, Goldsworthy.
Oh, that's looking a bit. No, that's a little bit too taily for me. I think.
Yeah.
And Bashir's not the most nimble of fielders, and I think we'd lose something there. If you're going to go that way, if you're going to go and you want an off spinner, Dan, and I take your point, then Archie Vaughan would get the nod, I think.
Yeah. So what I was going to say was last year at home to Surrey at Taunton, Burns and Sam Curran batted for most of the innings, 2 left-handers, and that meant that Gregory felt he couldn't bowl Leach. I think Leach bowled one over early on, but then he didn't bowl again for the rest of the innings because 2 left-handers were batting for all innings. So we might fancy having an off-spin option, and that would potentially be wrong because obviously you'd add a bit more than the sheer with the bat and in the field. So
he's Vaughan a bit samey. I just feel Vaughan might be a bit samey though. I think he's, which is great in Championship cricket, a bit the same with Jack. He's real dot you up, pressure. I don't know. Or do you just go, right, well, we're just going to stack the batting then? I might go with Roo. I might just go with Roo. Yeah, they love doing mad things on debuts, these Roo boys.
No, I don't think he's going to play. I didn't get any indication from Jason Kerr that Thomas Roo was going to play. I don't think he's in contention.
No, but I'd love to see him play though. I'd pick him if I was there. He's got 100 against Zimbabwe. He's batting really well. His confidence is high. He's on that wave. He's signed that short-term contract. So stick him in. Keep wicket. He's probably a better keeper than TKC as well.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not as if you're just plucking some kid out of Taunton St Andrews under 11s who's won a competition. He's good. Stick him in. Stick the Wunderkind in. That's what I say.
I think you might be on your own as the four of us with that.
Being on my own, Steve, I'll quite happily sit solo and sing the praises of Thomas Roo and having him in my team.
As Nicky King said, I think on Twitter, I think he will feature, but not just yet. In the blast, that is.
Well,
I think he will feature, but not just yet.
One thing I will say, and we have got a question about this coming up, is look what happened to Sonny Baker. And that's all I'm going to say. He's a little bit further along in his career, but
we offered Sonny Baker a contract and he turned it down because he got a better offer somewhere else. It wasn't that Somerset let him go.
But if he'd have played 5 or 6 games and he'd found his role in that team and he knew he was going to play, barring injury.
He was injured all the blooming time. He was hardly ever fit.
I know that,
Hampshire have signed him on potential, which is great and good for Sonny Baker, but you can't blame Somerset. Somerset didn't let Sonny Baker go. Sonny Baker chose to leave.
I'm not saying, I agree with that, but I'm saying it would have been a different decision if he'd have played 6, 8 blast games and was starting to develop a role.
But he wasn't fit enough to play.
He was last season. So last season Baker was fit.
Yeah, he's in a lot of squads.
Yeah.
But you look at his record in white ball cricket, it was just getting smashed all over the place.
Really? I thought he was pretty good for us when he played in the one.
Yeah, he got a 5-er and a 6-er in the Metro Cup. You played 1 game down at Kent. It's a bit of a...
Yeah, Baker played 1 blast game last year, and he did get whacked a bit. But in the second 11 T20, his bowling average was 11 point. No, hang on, sorry. His economy was 6.64, and he took 15 wickets in 9 games. I couldn't believe that he hardly played in the blast last year. He warranted playing more ahead of Jake Ball, unfortunately, who I always mention. Not on purpose, but the opportunity to play Baker was last year's blast. He was fit and he was doing well for the second, but we just didn't pick him, and that may well have been what ultimately made him choose to leave.
Well,
Jake Ball. What about Jake Ball?
Well, he's injured, isn't he?
He's injured now.
He's injured out. Yeah, we
got himself injured batting at Canterbury, or aggravated an injury batting at Canterbury.
Oh, is he?
Yeah. I mean, I did hear Jason as well say there were 1 or 2 niggles around the camp, so it may be that 2 or 3 of the players that we picked aren't available anyway. But good stuff.
That's coach speak for we don't want to give our team away or give too much away.
Absolutely. See, that's why he didn't mention Thomas Roo batting at 5. You see, don't want to give it away. Right. So T20s this week. Then, before we reconvene next Tuesday, we have got the doubleheader against Surrey on Friday night at Taunton, then a double header against Essex, the old enemy. Repeat of that 2023 final for the men at Chelmsford on Sunday afternoon, preceded by the women. with Somerset and Essex both being Tier 1 women's sides. So 4 games to look forward to before we get together next week. Anything more on the Blast, guys, before we dive into our virtual post bag?
Just one thing. With all this pace that we've got, I just go back to England's experience in the in one-day internationals recently, when they relied on pace and came horribly unstuck.
Well, I think you need pace and nous. I think we've got pace in Meredith, nous in Henry and Overton, and all the others. So I think that attack looks pretty well balanced. Have we still got time to convince Roloff to come out of retirement? Is 2 days enough to get him back from South Africa? Probably not. Right, let's dive into the post bag then. Segura from Rob Reed, he says, if Leicestershire are promoted, they're currently, I think they're top of Division 2, how likely is it that we will lose Benjamin George Frederick Green to the Foxes?
Must be a chance.
Don't know, when's his contract up?
End of this year.
Well,
Going to be a big chance.
Yeah.
Couldn't blame him.
And I wouldn't. Well, it depends whether he wants to play white ball for Somerset and no red ball, or all 3 formats for Leicester.
And well, we learned Jake Ball to a team in the same division this year, but will we want to learn Ben Green to a team in the same division for a long period?
After the grilling that Andy Cleve gave Sarge at the members' briefing last Saturday, I don't think we will. No,
Exactly.
he was fierce, old Cleve. He was right up Sarge's beak on that one. No, I don't think we will do it again. I think it's very strange, especially someone like Green, who's going to play in all their games and be relatively successful. I mean, the only thing I would potentially say is, do we see a route for Green into our Championship side anywhere? I mean, he's never really let us down.
Not really,
but
unless we wanted to open the batting and have him and Lewis opening the batting. I wasn't being serious there.
No, he's done it before.
Well, it's not unthinkable.
So the question is, Ben Green stays a Somerset player, robbed by signing a contract and resigning himself to playing white ball and potentially going on loan to another Division 2 club. But things can change quickly. A couple of injuries, he comes in, scores 100, can't drop him, he's away. I mean, look at this now. We would say, like, oh, well, there's no way 2 or 3 weeks ago we'd have been sat going, oh, God, right, here we're going to get to fill the last batting slot in our absolutely chock-a-block T20 batting lineup, 1 to 6. But we've just chatted for 15 minutes about it. 3 international call-ups, 1 injury, and an England A call-up for James Roon. So, or England Lions now, sorry. So things can change quickly, so you never know. Richard Friedman, what's on earth we'll ever see Tom Abel bowl again? Nope, don't think we will.
Yeah, just quickly.
Well, like it.
So I was just looking at when Tom Abel last bowled. And the last time, according to Cricket Archive, the last time he bowled in absolutely anything was the Abu Dhabi County Super Cup before the last season. So it's been just over a year. That was 1 over against Yorkshire. And the last time before that was, he bowled a few times towards the end of 2023 in the county championship. But yeah, since then he's largely given it up, and it's obviously because of his hamstring issues. So there's a good chance.
Well, hamstring and the side strain that he got.
I think, Anthony, is a service to me. If you ever are commentating and think Tom Abel's going to bowl, you need to drop the microphone, leg it down onto the ground, and actually physically restrain him from doing so.
No, I think Aves is far too sensible for that. So yeah, I think he's
It's a shame, though, isn't it? It's a shame, because he was more than useful change bowler.
Oh, without a doubt, more than useful, I'd say. Sam Betley asks, most stands were open at Chester Street and saw 2 stewards. 2 stewards. I mean, that's with them Rowdy Kingdom lot in the stands as well as Tractor and his mates. So they're obviously very high risk appetite up there at Durham. Are Durham breaking the rules, or are Somerset overly cautious? I don't know. I mean,
I can't believe Durham are breaking rules, because under the Sports Ground Licensing Authority, that would be picked up on. So by virtue of the fact that the two options are mutually exclusive, I think Somerset are being overly cautious financially.
I potentially agree with that. So we got Eric. Sorry, Dan.
The only stewards I saw were sort of by the pavilion, and I don't know if Durham really have members areas. I didn't see any, so maybe they don't need to police those, unlike us. But
although, in fairness, Dan, on Saturday most of their, let's say, livelier fans would have been at Wembley, and on Sunday they probably hadn't made it back to Durham, or if they had, weren't feeling like going to the cricket on Sunday. So
there were a few Sunderland fans there on Saturday. I learned of Sunderland scoring via a couple of big cheers.
Really?
Yeah, that was the last minute winner.
Good stuff. It's a three-part question. A lot of exciting young quicks at Durham, Hampshire and Surrey. Where are ours? Well, one's at Hampshire. They're in the twos. We trying to find a slot for them.
JT Langford is exciting, isn't he? I think.
JT Langford, I like the look of him. Oh, we didn't mention him in our conversations as well. There's another one who I think is worth a go at some stage during the blast. Big tall bowler, bounce. He's got a fierce Yorker. Another one who we could quite easily see in the blast. More likely for the one they cut. More likely to see Alfie in the T20.
You can't believe, though, that knowing the age profile of our seam attack, that's not something that is being addressed one way or another.
Well, it's got to be somewhere.
Got to be. That would be gross negligence.
And what's that? What did I say the other week when he got kind of Aldridge, who's in that sort of middle ground? They're either really young or over 30.
Yeah.
A domestic bowler is going to be signed this winter. That's I'm sure that I don't have any inside information, but surely we are going to be looking to sign a domestic bowler or two.
We got to find somebody. Got to sign somebody. And the opening partnership, Gregory and David doing okay, but it's not a long-term solution. Well, says you, Sam. You never know. Vaughan and overseas in September, future seasons. I mean, we'll have Pretorius in September, which it feels like a long way away now to start talking about September overseas signings. But currently we don't have Matt Henry. I imagine if I was Jamie Cox and Andy Hurry and Jason Kerr, I'd be moving heaven and earth to keep him here for September, because we have now got a real chance of winning this bloody county championship. And I would be selling kidneys and children and houses and God knows what else, if that's what it took to get him signed on the dotted line for September. But do we need an opener? Because, like I said, we've got so many. I know we need one, but we've got so many batters in the squad. And there's bowlers at
Dan, when's the last test against India?
Very early. It is. Yeah, 4th. So there's no Test cricket after first week of August.
Okay. I'll just leave that there.
Jasprit Bumrah.
No, I'm thinking of batting.
What, your mate Coley? I know he's retired now, isn't he?
No,
I county cricket, Coley. Middlesex won him.
Yeah.
Of course, Middlesex won him. 18 counties won him.
Well, yeah, but suppose the MCC are going to find some money from their magic money tree again. Like they did.
Oh, that's great, isn't it? Oh, right. I'm glad they're in Division 2. Moving on then. Andy Cleave's got his team for Friday. His extra spot has gone to Jack Leach. And he also says about what we just said about getting Matt Henry back in September. Geraint Jones, not that one, says, is our bowling attack up there or better than the one we had in the Bob Willis Trophy year? That main difference will be we had Jamie, Jack Brooks, obviously no
Josh Davey and Craig as the only pair that year. And Lewis was bowling a decent chunk, wasn't he?
Yeah, so you're kind of subbing in Miguel Pretorius and Matt Henry for Jamie Overton and Jack Brooks. Jake Ball's in there as well.
It's close.
Is that your clock, Gibbo?
It is.
It is.
3 minutes early.
Striking 8 o'clock. It's a bit early, yeah.
Bit premature, as they say. I don't know. It's apples and oranges sometimes, isn't it?
I'd say in 2020, Craig and Josh were better bowlers than they are now.
Yeah.
They're probably not quite as good these days.
Felt like we were running through sides a little bit more, though. What did we get close to, like 9 for 4, something like that? And then we bowled North Outs out. Did we bowl North Outs out twice in a day as well in that season?
I always felt like...
Yeah, I think they nearly bowled us out twice as well.
Yeah.
Quite a lot of teams just didn't really turn up that year, and we did.
Yeah, you can't really...
Yeah.
It's a funny sort of year.
If you sat down and looked at it objectively, based on like careers and not just those seasons, I'd probably tend towards this is a stronger bowling attack. Because Jack Leach is definitely contributing more earlier in the season now than he did. Oh, I know we didn't have an early season in 2020, stupid boy, but you know what I mean. You can sort of rely on Jack Leach to do a job effectively. It's not a case of picking him because we got to pick him for England contention. I'm going to say I think this attack is stronger.
Yeah, I'll go along with that.
Yeah.
Not as good as Garner, Botham, Dredge and Jennings, with
And
Popplewell, Marks as the bowling attack of my dad's heydays. But it's a pretty good bowling attack. Any attack that had Garner and Botham in it's really tough to.
Not forgetting Mark Davis, fast left arm.
Oh yeah, I know. Love you, Mark. Know a lot, but he didn't. Bless him. He didn't really get in that side an awful lot.
Well, he played. He
was very good.
times.
I played against him enough to know he was far too good for me. But I could do another hour on Joel Garner and how amazing that was to see up close and personal. And just, even on a dull Thursday afternoon in the Championship, you'd race down after school and watch him bowl, and it was worth every minute of your time to see. It's just awesome, absolutely awesome. I will never see better. And that's saying something because I've seen some pretty good bowlers.
High praise for Big Bird from Steve
didn't
there.
really try in the Championship, though. We would have won the Championship if he tried as hard in the Championship as he did in one day.
Okay, we'll have a special episode.
Look at his record, if you don't believe me.
You can referee that debate because I can find many other factors why we didn't win the Championship.
Look at his record or ask Vic Marks.
Okay.
I would ask Vic. Well, I don't think Vic will be there Friday night. There's a bit of a discrepancy. Sky say they're showing the Surrey game on Friday night, but Ben said it's on the live stream. So either a load of Sky equipment's got to turn up unannounced at Taunton on Friday morning to everyone's surprise, but who knows? But I will definitely be there. It matters not to me because I will be there in the flesh. Gibbo, are you there this year? Or what's it Bath and West Show this weekend, isn't it? Are you going to make it Friday night?
It is, yeah. No, I shan't be there Friday.
Gibbo won't be there. You need to sort
You
your
shan't be there for now.
Yeah,
you
need
shan't
to
be there
sort
for
your
now.
out for next week, Gibbo. Dan, you going to be there?
Yep, I'll be there Friday and Sunday at Chelmsford as well.
Excellent stuff. I think I've been given permission to go to Chelmsford by her indoors on Friday as well. So looking on Sunday as well. So looking very much forward to that.
Don't go on Friday, Shep. Really don't. That would not be a good use of your time.
Empty cloud facilities manager. It's not called that anymore, is it? Whatever it's called. And just be I sat and to see Don Topley there going, oh, what are you doing here, Shep? Although, did you see the article in the Cricketer about Don and being reunited with his dad's medals?
Can't read
No.
it, sadly.
No, it was in the magazine. It was really good. Yeah, really good piece by George Dobell on that one about. I think he lost touch with his dad's World War II medals, I think, and through various means had found them and brought them back. So it was quite a nice story. So did enjoy reading.
We'll
that.
have to get him on to tell us the story for an hour and a half later in the year.
He is scheduled for a couple of weeks' time. Is our mate Don? So our mascot Don, should I say? So looking forward to that, but also looking forward to going to Chelmsford and giving the Eagles a good idea as well for the second time this season. Right, I think Gibbo's probably given up now because he's.
Dan.
Oh, sorry, Dan.
One more quick thing about the televising situation on Friday.
Oh.
So the Sky's list of live cricket says Somerset v Surrey on Sky Sports Plus, but the general TV guide says it's Notts Outlaws versus Birmingham Bears. That is the match that is happening on Friday. So Sky, as we know, do not give a shit about the Blast, and this is just yet another example of that. So if Ben says we're not on TV, I assume that Ben is correct, and so yeah, Sky are just idiots basically.
Fair enough. Good stuff. Right. Don't think we've done all our listeners' questions. Right. That's good. And I think we're all done then.
Time to dust off the new batting T20 shirt for Friday.
Well, my little girl's got a batting T20 shirt. Couldn't bring her to buy the bowl. Couldn't bring herself to even entertain buying that monstrosity of the bowling shirt, the Mickey Mouse. Have you noticed they've not been wearing that in the second 11 games?
Yeah, I noticed you comment. Maybe
if
there's a big reveal of an alternate bowling shirt coming.
Oh God, yeah,
Friday.
you hope so, don't you? You hope so. Right. Well, hopefully there will be. Right. Thanks, guys. See you next week.
See you soon.
Ta-ra.
Take care, everyone. Bye.
Bye.